Hello everybody and welcome back again to Biz Buzz, where we're discovering your local businesses. I'm your host Joe Soares. Joining me and my co-host again, Mark Leone. We have a great show for you today and with a great guest who's actually been here before. Second time comer here. Joe Lahoud from the Pizza Palace here in Milford. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joe. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much. We'll talk a little bit about, first time around we talked about Pizza Palace.
Yeah.
Today, I'm sure it'll come up in conversation because that's my life, but really here to talk about the Greater Milford Business Alliance, which is a sponsor of this show. So we'll talk about the GMBA.
And we appreciate that too. Thanks to all our sponsors. We got the Greater Milford Business Alliance. We fail to mention our sponsors a lot of times, but Greater Milford Business Alliance, Bright Insurance Agency, Milford Area Chamber of Commerce, and also Shepherd and Goldstein sponsoring the show as well. So thanks. I mean, without the sponsors, we can't be here. So always got to remember to thank them. So thank you, Joe. Now, Joe, I know. Yeah, we talked last time you were on. We talked a lot about Pizza Palace, and
right.
And geez, you're right. You're right down the street over there, which is what is it? Beach Street. Right, Beach Street. You guys
right next to the Registry of Motor Vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where did you grow up again, Joe? Refresh my memory.
I grew up in Jamaica Plain in Boston.
Okay.
So I was at JP, and my wife actually grew up in Rosendale, so she's the Rosie girl, and I was a JP boy.
And where did you go to high school there now?
Actually went to high school in West Roxbury, Catholic Memorial High School.
Okay.
So I was a CM Knight, and from a CM Knight I went to a BC Eagle, and after I graduated BC, then I got my master's from University of Phoenix. So I became a Phoenix.
Wow. Now, how did you make it out to Milford?
It's actually Milford. My wife and I, when we first got married back in '93, we moved out to Millis. We kind of started, we were getting married, so I'm from JP, she's from Rosendale, so we wanted to live right in the neighborhood, and we couldn't afford, and it just kind of like drew a circle. And he pretty much had the 128 circle, and we started getting pushed out all the way until we actually got to Millis, and then we could afford to buy a house in Millis, so we moved to Millis. So once we were in Millis, then we got to know this area a lot better, and we got to know Milford a lot better. And we used to actually come to Milford at least once a weekend when we were out in Millis, just because Milford is a bustling community. This is where you come in for any type of shopping that you need to do.
Yeah.
You couldn't really do much in Millis, really. So you had to come out. You had to come out to Milford, and since then since '93, I've pretty much got to know Milford very well.
Yeah. So you still live in Millis now?
No, actually in '99 we ended up moving out of Millis, and we moved to Foxborough.
Okay.
And now we're in the process. The house is on the market. We're trying to sell out of Foxborough and move towards Milford.
Great. So
we might be in Milford, or we might be a town over where we're not sure, depending on the sale of the house and what's available and all that stuff. But the idea is to come to Milford.
Great.
Now, Joe, have you always been in the restaurant industry, or how did you get involved in that?
Nope, actually the restaurant industry, you'd have to go back a good 20 years, is when I worked in the restaurant industry before owning Pizza Palace. It was actually while going through college. I worked for about 3.5-4 years at a pizza restaurant called Pizzeria Regina out in Boston. So I was there. I started as a busboy, made it to shift manager, made it to pizza maker, made it to general manager. It was actually very exciting while I was there for the 4 years that I worked. So it was actually fascinating. I love cooking.
You do? Okay.
It's something I got from my mom.
Passion.
Yeah, I think my mom used to every now and then kick me out of the kitchen. She's like, "Get out of my way," and I'm like, "But I got to learn. Like, how do you do this dish? How do you do that dish?" And and after I got married and moved out of the house, I just love to cook.
Yeah.
It's one thing that you'd always find me doing. I'm either manning the grill, all the time, or I'm in the kitchen trying to cook something. Anytime we have a party, we have a gathering, typically you'll find me enjoying more actually cooking the food and making the food, and then seeing all my friends and everybody and then having a good time with everybody, enjoying the food. To me, that was always what it's all about.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the Greater Milford Business Alliance.
Well,
what is the organization, and what are some of the things that they do?
The Greater Milford Business Alliance is actually a very nice group. It's something that when I came out to Milford, and when I bought Pizza Palace, and I started looking for organizations, business organizations, networking organizations to join around the area, and I came across Greater Milford Business Alliance, and to me that was a very nice group for me to join. It was a very nice organization. It's a small group of business people. We're local business people. Greater Milford is the name of the group. We essentially not just Milford, but we look into the Greater Milford area, where businesses would like to join the group and get to network with each other. And that's kind of the biggest thing. If you look at anybody, if you ask a lot of folks in business and you say, what makes your either job a little bit easier, what makes your work a little bit easier, what if you can give me one piece of advice, what would it be? And a lot of times business people will tell you the more networked you are, then the better off you are in some respects. And what Greater Milford Business Alliance allows you to do is it allows local businesses to get together and network with each other for multiple reasons. So that's essentially what the Greater Milford Business Alliance is.
Yeah. Now, Joe, I go to the Greater Milford Business Alliance meetings, so I know what it's about. But I guess a lot of people out there are probably wondering, what's different? Because I agree, and I think a lot of people out there agree. You got to network. You're in small business. To meet people, you have to network, and that'll help you hopefully grow your business. Is the key. So it helps you meet different people. What's maybe some of the differences between the Greater Milford Business Alliance and some other popular ways to network out there? Like, for example, you have the Chamber of Commerce.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
You have your B&I type groups.
Correct.
Business Networking International, and that's a well-known international type networking group. So, what's maybe a little bit different that the Greater Milford Business Alliance may offer? Or maybe even some of the similarities too.
There are a lot of similarities. At the end of the day, if you bring it, if you look at every single networking group out there and you bring it down to its common denominator, and you're going to find it's business people getting together to network. So that's always going to be the common, the common denominator in all of them. So I think there are differences in the groups over the years. Through my professional career, I've joined Rotary, so I was a Rotarian for a while. I joined the Kiwanis Club. Through different jobs that I've had where you're actually mandated. I had a job where it said you need to go out there and be part of either the Rotary or Kiwanis or the Lions. You had to take one. That was, if I didn't have that on my checklist when it came down to my annual performance review, it's like failed on that one, and we're going to deduct 2 demerits.
Not getting your raises.
Right, exactly. So a lot of jobs, actually, a lot of companies out there recognize the need for involvement in the community and recognize the importance of networking. So they mandated off their employees to go out and join some of those larger groups. A lot of them will be, for instance, the Lions Club is really, or the Rotary, I'm sorry, is more towards the community, and the Lions is, and the Kiwanis. That's essentially what
a lot of giving back to the community.
Giving back to the community.
Charity type work.
Where local business people get together and let's find a cause, let's find a way, and they'll find multiple ones during the year that they'll be able to take on some good causes. So there's a lot of groups out there like that. There's obviously the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce is where the majority of businesses typically end up having a membership and will end up going to some of those events. There's the BNI, the Business Network International, where it focuses a lot more on really networking with the ultimate goal of getting referrals from business to business and passing referrals. And then there's the Greater Milford Business Alliance, which to me was a fantastic group where you didn't feel that you're under pressure to perform in any single aspect. It wasn't one of those situations where you get there and all of a sudden it's like, well, do you have 3 referrals to hand out this week? Which some groups will be looking for that. Or do you have a good cause that we need to select this week and we have to do it and let's just do it and we need to do it? And you end up saying, well, wait a second, let's take a time out here for a second. I have all these goals that I'm trying to accomplish at my job. Networking is a means of accomplishing that. When the networking group that you join ends up being a goal in by itself and it starts having its own kind of reason to exist and its own projects and its own everything, then you're really just trying to, you're taking, ultimately what you're trying to do is grow your business and grow your networking around the area. And you take that and then it takes on a life of its own within the group. So the Greater Milford Business Alliance is nice where it took good parts of every single thing that's out there and says, okay, let's see if we can make this fit better. For some individuals where, for instance, BNI does not fit for my business, so I could never join a BNI. and that model doesn't really work. Rotary possibly could work at any of those clubs, but most of them meet typically during lunch. And in my
That's
business,
tough for you.
at lunch, you're gonna find me nowhere but in my restaurant serving lunch. So for customers. So so some groups out there is a little bit tough. So Greater Milford Business Alliance is a nice group that is for local business people to be able to get together. We meet first thing in the morning every other week at 7 a.m. and the meeting lasts for about an hour and a half, right around 8:30, sometimes a little bit more than that, right around 8:45.
Yeah.
But we always get done before 9 o'clock, so this way everybody can go and tend to their business.
Sure. So is it safe to say then, Joe, that it's not a group for everyone, but
Correct.
it could be a good group for a lot of different people out there?
I would say the majority of small businesses, small to medium-sized
Yeah.
businesses, a group like the Greater Milford Business Alliance would actually benefit them quite a bit.
Because it's got to fit your schedule,
Correct.
of course, the time,
Correct.
like thing. It's got to be convenient to get to. There's got to be people in the group that obviously you like,
Right.
and build relationships. Just like any other group, but in order to experience it, I'm sure you tell people this, and I tell people this. You got to come to find out what it's about, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. We're a group that doesn't really. We're not one of those groups where if you come in to visit, we're just gonna be like all over you and saying join, and you can't leave this room until you join the Greater. It's anything like that. Or we're a very relaxed group of business individuals. We're all trying to accomplish the same thing. We're all adults. We're all in there trying to help each other really. Where we find out what's going on in the local area, what's going on in Milford that could affect businesses right now, what businesses are moving in, what businesses are struggling, what segments are struggling, how is the impact of the real estate market, what's going on with the real estate right now, what is the impact that has on local businesses, and how has that affected us.
Right.
And the one thing that's really exciting for any business person is if you're in business, a lot of times you feel like you're an island onto your own. And you feel that you're sitting on this island and you have all these waves of customers coming in, and that's fantastic, but then you're really isolated from the world. You have nothing else to connect you to the mainland. You have nothing that will essentially tell you what's going on at the mainland, and you feel like you're just in that little island.
Well, we're going to talk about that after this break, Joe.
Okay.
I want to get more into what goes on in the meetings, and
Sure.
that's what you're starting to talk about, which is fantastic. So we'll be back after this break with again, Joe Lahoud from the Pizza Palace.
After Sergeant Matthew Kyle was injured in Iraq, his young wife faced the daunting task of getting their VA benefits.
There's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of forms to fill out.
For years, paralyzed veterans trained experts have helped injured veterans and their families.
We're able to fill out all of the forms and applications and ask for all of the benefits that veteran's entitled to.
You too can help paralyzed veterans. Visit pva.org.
Hello, everybody. We're back here at the Comcast Studios with our guest this evening, Joe Lahoud, the president of the Greater Milford Business Alliance. Apologize for all my coughing there earlier, but between a cough drop and a little water, I think we're all set.
It was a good break. Yes.
Great. So, Joe, I see you have a hat there. Can you tell me a little bit about the hat?
Absolutely. I'm very excited. Every year for the past 11 years, Pizza Palace has sponsored a Milford Youth Baseball. And this year, the team that we're sponsoring is the Scrappers.
Scrappers.
The Scrappers.
I like
It's
that.
T-ball, the 5 to 6 year old group. And they're going to be playing, I think practice was yesterday. And they're going to be playing every Friday at Plains Park from now until roughly mid-June. And just very excited to, that it's the Scrappers, and that's the team for Pizza Palace.